This is the presentation for the Children's Liturgy, the Sunday, the 32nd Sunday of Ordinary Time. It falls in 2025 on November the 9th, and so coincides with St. John Lateran's feast day, which is a big church, a big basilica in Rome. This one is about Jesus defending his Father's house. So it's a bit challenging to present this to the young children, and this is the way that I'm suggesting it could be done. The doctrine points are as follows. In John 2:13-25, Jesus drives the money changers and the merchants out of the temple, using a whip to evict them. Jews came from all over the world to offer sacrifice in the temple in Jerusalem. They brought many currencies with them that had to be changed to what was considered to be the sacred currency. The money changers often charged high rates of interest to do this, making great profits. Temple worship required sacrifices, often bought in the temple and the temple precinct, sold by the merchants, who also charged very high prices. It's this dishonest trade that Jesus was reacting to. It was not right and had no place in the temple, his Father's house. So the materials here are a range of characters from the gospel characters, some of the Cenacle characters, the disciples, the apostles, perhaps some miniature tables. I've only got the one here, given the space, and that could do quite enough, but you might want to add one or two others if you have them available. You'd also have on hand, I think it's good to have the Jerusalem model if you can, which I don't have today because of space again, and perhaps the magnet map. And then I've added in here, it's quite a good possibility too to have images or a storyboard of the scene, just to help show visually some of the events that are taking place with great movement, which won't appear quite so actively here in the diorama, but it provides a very good visual. And then an image perhaps of the first Passover, the Passover that led to all the other Passovers. A good image of that could be good. So here's the presentation. Well, the first thing I will do would be to indicate the location of Jerusalem on the magnet maps. I shouldn't be saying that, I should just be doing it for you, but here. The position of Jerusalem is just here. It's quite nice to actually place those magnets and that the children hear that, and that draws them to using the magnet maps themselves. And so you just show them that place. You might have the model of Jerusalem then and show them the temple precinct in that. So this is now the presentation for the children. In today's gospel, we hear about the time when Jesus drove out the money changers and the merchants from the temple. At Passover time, the Jews came from all over the world to offer sacrifice in the temple of Jerusalem. Their foreign money had to be changed to sacred currency so that then they could buy their sacrifices. The money changers and the merchants selling sacrifices often made huge personal profit from all of this. Jesus made it clear that this dishonest trade was an insult to God, even more especially because it was happening right inside the temple area and carried out under the disguise of serving God. So there are some words and phrases that's good to make sure we understand. And one is Passover, and it means what it actually says, Passover. Passover is a Jewish feast day, remembering the time when the Hebrews, the Jewish people, were freed from slavery in Egypt. On that day, God passed over the whole of the city and the land, and he spared the firstborn of the Hebrews, that's the oldest child, or oldest animals as well, bringing death however, to the Egyptians who had refused time and again to let the Hebrews go. Then another phrase, the temple in Jerusalem. Well, that was the holiest, considered to be the holiest place to worship for the Jews. Let's light our candle. The Passover was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and in the temple he found people selling cattle and sheep and doves, and the money changers seated at their tables. Making a whip of cords, he drove all of them out of the temple, both sheep and cattle. He poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. He told those who were selling the doves, "Take these things out of here. Stop making my Father's house a marketplace." This is where you might show different images. His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." There's some of the apostles there who are remembering and reflecting on these words found in the Old Testament scriptures. I wonder what would have been the sights and the sounds that Jesus would have found in that temple area. You might have quite a cacophony there with the children making animal sounds and people chattering, and maybe you can recreate a little bit of a scene there without getting out of hand. I wonder why it would have been particularly intense on that feast day, which was Passover, considered the greatest feast day of the year in many ways for the Jews. I wonder why Jesus was so strong in what he said and did on this occasion, bearing in mind that so many times he spoke of being gentle and humble of heart, and he showed kindness. This time he was really, really cross. I wonder why. I wonder what lesson we can actually learn from this, thinking about when perhaps we attend church ourselves. Can it help us improve the way when we're at church? And then pondering through choices, if there is time, always again using the diorama, considering the different images that would be available, electronic, physical jigsaws, drawing the scene, mindful colouring in, perhaps even a simple puppet craft activity freely available on the internet, of which there's usually plenty for every one of the presentations that we make in this way, and could be take-home activities for the children.